For those of you that have ever wondered how different French elections are, from at least American ones, those are the ones I've ever voted in. Otherwise, well, I just voted for the first time with my French electoral card on a very sunny Sunday here in the first round of municipal elections, which are very important in France. The mayors have a lot of power, and these are the things, you'll see these things pop up. I think, I don't know if they do this in every city in France, but in Paris, you know a vote is coming because these giant panels pop up with every candidate on them, and then you see how long they last before they start getting defaced, depending on the vibe. But right now, everybody, well, no, I was gonna say everybody looks good. That guy's missing his face. Otherwise, seems like everybody's still intact. But this is how you also know where a voting station is going to be. So they put these out so you can see the faces and the parties of the people that you're voting for, which I think is really cool. And it's always a nice reminder, like a visual reminder, because they usually pop up like a week or two in advance, blank, but they'll pop up. And so then you're like, oh yeah, it's coming. And I have a friend who forgot that today's the day to vote, and she was just freaking out. So use this as a visual reminder if you didn't know that already. I thought I would run you through what it's like to vote in France, because it's very different in my experience than voting in America. And my experience these days for voting in America has been absentee, right? Fill in a little bit of a bubble, kind of like you're taking a test, send it back in, they count it. Here, they do a couple different things that have changed over the years. And today's very different for Paris. I think it's Paris, Lyon, and Marseille than it used to be. It used to be you voted for your local mayor, right? The mayor of your arrondissement, your neighborhood, your municipal district. And then they would select the mayor of the city. There's a high school in my neighborhood where I do my voting. This is my fourth time voting, but my first time with my electoral card. I voted in the snap election that Macron called like a couple years ago, and the parliamentary elections for the EU. This is my first like established French vote, really. You can think of it that way. But the way they did it then, and the way they're doing it now, is not by a little bubble. You actually go in, and there's this table that's covered in flyers. So they check your ID, make sure that you're on the voter rolls, make sure you're in the right office, and then you go and you pick up these flyers. You can pick up one of each if you want. You can go straight for the one you're gonna vote for. It's just a nice way of kind of obfuscating who you're gonna vote for in case your neighbors are watching, which I met a couple of my neighbors here today, which is very nice. It's actually a very nice environment. I'm a little bit nervous. The first time I was much more nervous because I was like, am I actually allowed to do this? And this time a little less nervous, but definitely still feeling a little bit like, you know, things are a little bit tense right now. So what's the vibe gonna be? But everybody's been very nice. The people that run it are very nice. So you go in, you pick up your flyers, you go into a little bit of a booth for privacy, and then you put them into a little envelope. So you put the one that you want to vote for in the envelope. You can leave the envelope empty if you would like to vote like carte blanche, if you just want to have a protest vote. If you would just like to abstain, consider that a protest, whatever. And then you throw the rest in the trash. And so there's this big trash bag in the middle of the room that like you can kind of get an idea for who's getting thrown away the most when you look in there. Stand in line based on your last name. You walk up, they find you in the rolls. They verify your identity again. You drop your envelope in a big box, and the man or woman who's running the whole show says "a voté," which I always took to mean has voted. But you can correct me if that's wrong in the comments below. Once you voted, you go back. They stamp your little thingamajigger, or actually they were stamping it at different times. I'm not exactly sure who stamps when, because it looked like it was different depending on the person. But at the same time, you actually sign in the voter rolls that you voted, and then that's it. You walk out. So there were 2 stations for us today, and there's multiple, depending on where you live in the neighborhood, there are multiple offices here for voting. So once you figured out which one you're supposed to go to, which was actually kind of complicated, it took me a minute to figure that out. You stand in line first for the arrondissement, so for the 16th for me. Stand in line, do your vote, and then you go to the office next door and you vote for the mayor of Paris. And that's what's different this time, is in the past, you would vote for just your neighborhood mayor. I don't know exactly, the way it was explained to me is the councils. I don't know what the actual translation for that is. Basically, they would then elect the mayor of Paris based on how the elections went in the arrondissement. But today, we're voting for first our mayor in the neighborhood, and then second directly for the mayor of Paris, which is very interesting. In 2 rounds, so we had this week, everybody that gets more than 10% is gonna move on to the second round next week, and then we'll see how it all falls out. If you're more interested in this, I will link below to Lindsay's explanation. She did a really good podcast explaining kind of the lay of the land going into this election. It was very, very helpful for me. It is much more of a toss-up than you might think for Paris. And unfortunately, it's more of a toss-up than I think a lot of Parisians think. There's a lot of assumption around it, just kind of continuing the way it's been for a long time. So we really don't know. So voting matters. So if you happen to be French living in Paris, you have the right to vote. Definitely express that. Get out there, vote. It's really important. I'm really honored, and I'm proud that I get to come out and cast my vote today. I'll be back next week to do it again. We'll just see how it goes. But I thought I'd explain just kind of what the vibe is like, how it's a little bit different. It feels very official but friendly. It's a very nice vibe overall. Obviously, a little bit awkward in its own ways. But everybody was really nice, and I'm really, really grateful that I have the right to do this because I've lived here for a long time, and I would like to at least have a say in how things go in my city. So yeah, there you go. There's a little election day summary for you.